Hi, it's Keith from the Evangelical Free Church, Stony Stratford, and we're continuing our series of short talks in the Gospel of Mark. And today we're in chapter 11 and we're looking at verses 27 to 33. Now, Jesus is back in the temple, but not everyone is pleased to see him. Let's just refresh our minds, because last time he was there, he trashed the stalls of the traders and drove them out. And although the people were delighted and amazed at his teaching, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders were not, and they were looking to trap him and kill him. So when he goes to the temple courts today, what happens? He gets a hostile response. Verse 28. They ask him this question: by what authority are you doing these things? And who gave this authority to do this? Basically, they're saying, you are an itinerant preacher. We are the people who are the religious leaders. We have the authority. You have no authority. So speak up and make it quick. Basically, it looks like Jesus is between a rock and a hard place. But Jesus has a counter question. Verse 29, Jesus replied, I will ask you one question. Answer me, and I will tell you by what authority I am doing these things. John's baptism, was it from heaven or from men? Now, here's the thing. It is not Jesus who is between a rock and a hard place. It is them, because they start to discuss it, verse 31. And they say, if we say from heaven, he will ask, why didn't you believe him? But if we say from men, they feared the people, for everyone held that John was really a prophet. You can just see the scene. This is in the court of the Gentiles. It's a very public place. The people would have been amazed and thrilled perhaps to see Jesus back. They've been amazed at his teaching yesterday anyway, hadn't they? So it's back today. A crowd is gathering. And even better, there's confrontation, there's debate. That's always going to get people interested. And basically, what has happened? Well, the religious leaders see themselves in a spot, because if they deny John's baptism was from heaven, the people are going to be incensed. If they say it was from heaven, well, Jesus would just say, why didn't you believe him in the first place? They've lost faith. And the other thing is, if the people held that John was a prophet, well, it could turn nasty, couldn't it? So basically they cop out. Verse 33, so they answered Jesus, we don't know. So Jesus says, neither will I tell you by what authority I'm doing these things. Now, is this Jesus just playing difficult? No, I don't think it is. Jesus wants to engage them in serious conversation. The point is, if he tells them by what authority, he has said, again, whose authority is from, time and time again. He has wanted to enter into dialogue with them, but they have not listened. And he knows they won't listen this time. So his issue is this: if you can't answer this question one way or another, then we have nothing to talk about. It will just be a case of shifting ground, won't it? Now, the chief priests, teachers of the law, the elders, they were religious, yes. They would have been steeped in the law of Moses. They would have known their scriptures very, very well. And you see, I come across people today who will say, well, I go to church each Sunday, I take communion, I've been confirmed, I've been baptized, what more should I do? Well, my answer would always be engage with Jesus. Things, learning, head knowledge, symbols do not make you a Christian. No one is born a Christian. These people were not born with a hotline to God. And the sad thing is their confrontation with Jesus shows they were far from God. What a tragedy. They know, and they can even admit that Jesus has got them in a sticky situation. They can see the wisdom, but they won't engage. It's a tragedy, isn't it? Paul, when writing to the Corinthian church in 2 Corinthians, writes in chapter 4 and verse 3, he says this: even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. That was the problem of the leaders of the people. And that can be our problem today. So is there any hope? Are our eyes blinded? Well, no. What does Paul go on to say? Verse 6. For God, who said, let light shine out of the darkness, made his light shine into our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. It takes an act of God to make us see. Now you see, Paul there is saying, literally going back to creation language when God said, let there be light. And so what Paul is saying is it needs an act of recreation. Our hearts need to be remade. We need to come and confess our sin. We need to engage with Jesus. Then we will be given the light that we need to see the truth and follow him. Thank you for listening. Now, we've got a couple of books which you may be interested in. We've got a gospel. If you haven't got a Bible around the house, you can follow by finding one of these. They're in the holders at the front of the church, on the railings. And for these troubled times, where is God when things go wrong? Please feel free to take these. They are free. And once again, thank you for listening.